Amucha erosion, or Ojamucha, tops the list when one makes a quick online search of the community located in Imo State, southeastern Nigeria. Perhaps what makes it even more popular apart from the scale of the erosion is the attraction it got from one of Nigeria's heads of state, Shehu Shagari, who visited the site in the 1980s and made a promise to check the menace. Ngwa Shagari Kwaramucha, a saying common among natives, has come to connote a failed promise because President Shagari's pledge several decades after remains largely unfulfilled.
This drainage was constructed at first during the Shagari era, right? But the flood from the erosion came from under the drainage and totally shattered the drainage. You can see how thick the drainage is.
That's all of it.
This is all of it. It keeps going that way. This is the length of the drainage. It goes that way. So when you go up, you now see where the drainage stopped. It broke it all the way down there.
Amucha is my hometown. The magnitude of such damage in constant view from childhood gave rise to an early curiosity that has become a passion for environmental journalism.
You can see some of the bamboo sticks and trees. Any tree you see in here, because the erosion has already removed the topsoil and trees and everything that were in here. Any seed and houses, any tree you see standing here was planted by the villagers. Mostly the bamboo trees because it has fibrous roots. So it acts as preventive measures. So the volunteers of Amucha Ohonya Erosion Foundation helped to put these trees so that it will slow down the force of the erosion. But the erosion is still active nevertheless. After promising us that they are going to, review it by interest rate of 50% every year, they gave the 1.8 million naira that they were supposed to give to us was never released. The drainage was on quite all right and it helped to do a lot. They did some things. Federal government did a lot under President Shehu Shagari. They did. But the thing needed maintenance. You see the drainage, you see where we're going, you see how the thing has failed, you see how the thing requires continuous maintenance. The money was never dispensed. So we're saying, if you didn't dispense it, can you please use it and come and maintain the erosion? Because you're not dispensing it to us. You're using it to checkmate the erosion. The Amucha erosion has fingers. Some of it has been controlled, like the one you got in through with this checkmating of using live trees and bamboos and the drainage. This is the very active part of the Amucha erosion.
So it's still very active because we've heard over the years that it is no more active.
No, it is active. You can see how fresh there is. You can see the earth. You can see the earth here, how red it is. This area was controlled by the mounds of earth that was heaped when President Shagari did the first construction of drainage and the first drainage system and the mounds of earth that were kept there, and the volunteers of Amucha Ohonya put these trees and bamboos in the erosion to slow down the water. But here is another active finger. There was some kind of human activity that caused it back at the bank of the river, where we are going to, because the river, the Njaba River, used to have fibrous palms. Those palms had some, the roots were fibrous. So before the war, we don't know exactly whether it was the enemy or the indigenes that removed most of those trees, because it made the place to be dense. So when the water comes, it now becomes too fast and starts eroding the bottom of the place. So
You want to say the Civil War must have had an impact?
yes, that's part of what worsened the erosion. This place was as high as this place. It was as high as this. Last year was as high as this. This is just this year, and look at how deep it has gone. And it's as eroding, it's still eroding this old one. When the erosion takes the sand down, the sand and the mud now mixes into the water. And there's really no river here anymore. Here we used to have spring water all over here. All you needed to do when you come here is just dig a little hole and water comes out, like that one you saw there. There is spring all over the banks of this river. But because of the erosion now, it has covered all those springs. So we don't even have water. We don't have spring water anymore. There's no spring water here. It's gone. You can see how fresh it is. This is just a few days old.
The huge gullies which swallowed villages and farmlands remain not only visible but a constant reminder of a man-made tragedy that occurred here. This started after the Civil War. Where we lived before kept eroding, so we had to buy a land and moved. It also started where we moved to, and even got right to my window. Whenever it begins to rain, we become very afraid because the solid ground just melts away. Let's go on so you can see it. It used to be a beautiful place. The community has woven a folklore around the cause of the erosion. The python is a sacred creature in Amucha. It should never be killed, but one man had other ideas.
The people of Amucha, the custom said we will not eat python. We don't eat it. Even if it comes to your house, you carry it away. About some people who said they are true Christians, nothing will happen. They went and ate it. That's what we had. That was because of that Oje Khan came to Amucha. That is erosion.
Me, I was wondering, is this not a snake? Why don't you kill the snake when you saw it? But as I started growing up, I saw this snake, a very calm snake. You may even see one before we end this. Very calm snake that when it sees you, it coils up. Why would you want to kill something that is harmless?
That's what the elders said. I don't know if it's true about the man who killed the python. When it rains, the flood is just too heavy and terrifying. It can carry anything. Over 200 families had to move. Very, very strong floods.
This is the very active part of the Amucha erosion.
So it's still very active because we've heard over the years that it is no more active.
No, it is active. You can see how fresh there is. You can see the earth. You can see the earth here, how red it is. This area was controlled by the mounds of earth that was heaped when President Shagari did the first construction of drainage and the first drainage system and the mounds of earth that were kept there, and the volunteers of Amucha Ohonia put these trees and bamboos in the erosion to slow down the water. But here is another active finger.
The people do believe that modern buildings with corrugated iron roofs instead of thatch, as well as concrete compounds, have stopped the natural drainage of water.
In those years, we have not, most of our buildings are not with zinc house. And then it used to take most of the rain that falls. But now, there's nothing like such, buildings. Everybody has, zinc house. So they said that's one of the things they suspected that caused that erosion, because the rain don't sink again. All of them moves to the place.
Through development, the beginning of the zincs and everything, you collect mud flood, and then that is later on when we discovered that it was not that killing of that python, it was this. We called on the government and then told them that this was a result of the flood. That's why the federal government assisted us, heard our prayers during the time of Shagari.
This is what is left of our river, Njaba River. You know that the source of Njaba River is here. We used to have springs on the bank here, but the erosion came down, eroded the spring, and carries mud and sand into the river. This is what's left of the Njaba River, the source of Njaba River in Amusa.
However, with increased rainfall intensity, climate change seems to be at the heart of the problem.
We discovered that it was not that thing. So the cause is due to the flood, because here is this particular place is in the valley, and all the water from Eziachi, Omuzike, Omowa, Eziama, and Dunkume, all of them moved down to this place. So we have a very big flood in this particular place, so that move inside.
Okudo Community School, built in 1977, is threatened by the gully. The school has abandoned original buildings and even new ones as the erosion drives them closer and closer to the busy Owerri-Olu Road.
Because of this erosion that is surrounding our learning environment, some teachers, when they're being posted in our school, they're being scared. So they want to save their life, and they're being reposted to another school. That is why we don't have enough teachers. The hostels are being abandoned because of the erosion. And the students are afraid of living around the erosion because the building can collapse overnight.
Many have viewed the erosion from a distance, usually from the top, but for the first time ever, a news channel takes a walk through the ravine, revealing the beauty the disaster has become after years of tree planting efforts to check the erosion, which has remained inactive until recently.
We used to have so many of these in there where you go and get water from. So because of the erosion, this erosion now, the sand covered most of this.
When the federal government come and then tested the soil, they saw that this place is very porous and the soil is very soft. So they started the tree planting. We planted the India bamboo, cassia tree, melina. The federal government brought a lot of seed by that time. In 1980s, which we started from up Amachadia. All these areas, we planted India bamboo, cassia tree, melina, oil bean tree, and other trees. And then at that time, the federal government banned cropping from this particular zone, that we should not farming activities in this particular zone until this tree get up and then try to help them.
With the new landscape great for hikers and its natural beauty carved out of a tragedy, can Amucha erosion become a replica of the Grand Canyon, attracting visitors from far and wide?
Very, very true.
If you ever visit Amucha to see the erosion, remember to call out on your companion like this.
It has to end with an O so that the echo will carry it. It's the O with the echo that carries the sound back. You know, you want to call somebody back home or you want to call somebody back at the stream. So it depends on where you're calling, you face that area and you make the sound.